The next topic of our episode today is the importance of the FOP walkthrough, the field of play or the skate park walkthrough. So let's talk a little bit about that. In the previous episodes, we all agreed that walk through the site inspection or even skating the field of play, it's crucial for the work of judges and for their most accurate evaluations later on during the event. Now, after we have just discussed the topics in our episode, I would assume that it's even more important to do the walkthrough. So, guys, would you expand on that one and explain our viewers why is it so crucial to do the walkthrough and
I'll jump
inspection
in
of
here.
all
Yeah,
obstacles?
this is just one. This is critical. Let me just start off by a good percentage of the time, your panel booth, your judges panel booth could be on a suspension. You could be like aerial and everything, just you're not even seeing things for what they are on ground level. And no skate park is course is absolutely perfect, and you're going in and doing the walkthrough is crucial because you're eventually going to see how skateboarders are putting their runs together, how they're getting there. Is there a gap, to this certain rail? Is there, everything looks different when we are put up pretty high. And so that distorts the real actual, every obstacle of the course. So walking through and skating, looking at the height of everything and, how a skateboarder can get from A to B and the difficulties of that. And it's important to look at everything. Because I do recall a time where we hadn't gotten the chance to actually walk the course yet. And when we did, I was like, oh my God, these rails are huge. Like they just do not, like, they don't visually, they just don't appear the same when you're in a judge's booth that might be further away from the course or above the course. So this is extremely crucial and an absolute necessity. Like, you have to do this. This is only going to strengthen the work that you do within the booth and your consensus with your your judging panel. And yeah, it's super crucial to go through the walkthrough. You have no idea. You're basically acting as if you are the skateboarder that is going to skate this course, and what is possible to happen here, and how gnarly something, getting that scale of how gnarly an obstacle is, and putting whatever lines you end up seeing that day of the event together, and
Correct,
helping obviously with your evaluations come game day, and doing your best job. That is a huge focal point of why we do walkthroughs, and the importance of doing walkthroughs is you really see it for exactly what it is. And you're not just going up in the booth and you're like, hey, let's go, let's get it going. You know what I mean? Because that rail or that set of stairs or that, that ledge could potentially look super tiny. But when you actually get on the course, you're like, wow, that's actually very gnarly. And oh, there's a gap before it. And like, there's all these variables that are set into place as well. And that does affect a score.
Yeah, I think so. It gives you just a better perspective of all the obstacles in general. Like, yeah, the height, the distance, the length, the length of the stairs, the pitch of the rail. It also even gives you, shows you the imperfections of a course, like where a crack may be, or where there's like a little bubble in the cement where you rolled over it before and you're like, wow, that's a weird spot. And if people are like able to maneuver off that the right way, like, it's all these little things, being a skateboarder your whole life, like, being on the ground level and either skating it or walking it is the best way to understand how the field of play is really.
Yeah, and we have to score the tricks for exactly what they deserve. So we need to do the walkthrough just to realize how big the stairs are, how steep the rails are, just to know how crazy the tricks that have been done on the obstacles are.
Yeah.
So the walkthrough is super important for that.
I think that's one of the things that all the aspiring judges should also keep in mind is that the higher the level of skating is, and the better the guys who are skating, the tricks look easy. The masters are performing the hardest tricks in a way that they seem super simple. And sometimes judges can lose a track of realizing how gnarly those tricks are or how difficult it is to do them on certain obstacles, and being in that place and actually, so to say, touch it for reals puts you in the place. As a judge, it puts your feet back on the ground. Now, I wanted to ask you guys also, because there is more, usually in the judging panel, there is 5 judges and a head judge. There is different styles. Do you think that, like walking through the field of play or skating it helps to find the kind of panel consensus on certain tricks? Because I might like a different skating than Stefan likes or Vanessa likes, for example. And, I say, oh yeah, that is easy. And do you think that walking through and discussion about what you see with your colleagues helps to kind of sharpen the opinion and make it more accurate?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, the consensus.
Yeah, it's imperative. And then all the judges will know that, like, if you've been skating your whole life and understand skateboarding and you have skateboarding common sense, then you will understand, how the obstacles are and the size and height and everything associated with them.
Okay,
Yeah, so field of play will always complement practice, because then, you know what I mean, both are very crucial. So you walk field of play and then practice starts to happen, and that's when you're, you know what I mean, you're able to, every part is important and plays into the other up until we actually are judging these events.
Okay.
And we're doing the walkthrough all together.
Yes,
so we
it
talk
is.
from like a spot to another, and we all pretty much agree on how hard
and we're talking, we are discussing,
always talking.
discussing as we're doing this walkthrough, and it is a discussion.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, hey, remember in practice earlier, so-and-so did this right here. Like, that's crazy. Like, this thing's huge.
Which would have been totally, very different had we just gone in the booth and watched practice from there and not done the walkthrough. So the walkthrough is extremely crucial.
Yeah, same thing as watch on TV.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. There is a lot of TV critics. Everyone examines skateboarding from a TV screen without being there. And I'm really, really, really happy, guys, that you explain how important it is to examine it on your own self, on your own eyes, on your own feel, on your own feet, because it looks completely different on the screen. It doesn't do the skateboarding the right justice sometimes. No matter what you do, it looks different on the screen. For all the judges who are watching us, for all the aspiring judges, FOP walkthrough is one of the crucial parts of preparation for your judging job. Do never miss it. Do never underestimate its importance, and do it as a whole to put the more views and ideas and impressions together. It will make your job more accurate. All right, guys. And as an exercise, we have prepared this little video edit from the Tokyo FOP, and we can simulate the FOP walkthrough together for our viewers. So let's jump into it. All right, guys. So this is the Tokyo Street FOP. What is the first impression you would say?
Big. It's
Yeah.
a
Yeah, it
very
is
large
huge.
course.
Also, if you notice on this course, everything is mirrored down the middle.
Yeah.
So it applies to both goofy and regular skateboarders,
Mhm.
which is really awesome concept, I think. So it plays fairly for everyone.
Correct. It's a really large course too, which provides lots of different options.
Hmm.
A lot of variety. Yeah. So you could see even some parts there's the ability to gap over to the rail, to, there's all these little nuances that can affect your score, get a higher score.
Yeah, and they are like
Like,
big
look at how
rails
long this
as well.
handrail is. This is the biggest course I think we had the privilege of judging on, for sure.
So the walkthrough and the skate through, this is the things that you notice, like the length of those hubbas right there, the length of the stairs, the height of the stairs that from the judging booth might look different, might look smaller from the judging booth. I think these are the real important factors to gain from a walkthrough.
Yeah, what certain banks could lead to what obstacles, the many different approaches to an obstacle.
Yeah, how far the banks are. If you're doing like a gap, or can totally tell how fast you have to go.
Do you also
Yeah,
try like
and-
how much it slides or grinds these obstacles? Because to me, that's an important factor.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And this obstacle in particular, I remember this one here with the quarter pipe up over the bar. That one seemed deceiving from the judges booth, but when we were able to really get down there and see it and understand that, that quarter pipe will definitely launch you up pretty high.
Oh my, yeah. Do you remember
And
Manny Santiago doing a
kickflip
kickflip,
in.
and it was like the best thing I'd ever seen?
Yeah, the
It's
kickflip
so
in
good.
was so sick. That was so hard.
Yeah.
So
Right.
But that's the thing. That's the importance of the walkthrough, is you have no idea until you are seeing it in real life as if you were going to skate it, and all the little ways in which you can approach the course. And you're not going to be able to see a crack or the difficulty, of the approach to an obstacle on the course until you actually see it and you get on that level. And
Right.
there's like right here, there's so much going on in that one section. It's like you can gap over to the rail, you can, one way, and you can do it also the other way, but that would reflect differently in a score because one is going to be harder than the other.
Yeah, the rail in the middle seemed to be pretty good, pretty big.
Yeah, I think
The
this
gap
was
to it
an
too.
important part too. The rail in the middle, the cement goes out farther than the
Yeah.
rails on the two
Mhm.
sides. So the
Kind of
rails
gives
on
you
the
more of
two
an
sides-
advantage, gets you closer to the rail. So some might choose that option over somebody who chooses the harder approach.
But the drop is bigger.
Yep.
Those rails were
definitely
long.
small.
No, it is not small at all. I mean, I'm small, but
Mhm.
like if something's like hitting me chest high or like neck high, that,
Yeah.
the difficulty of
But
tricks.
You can tell that the rail in the middle is much bigger than the ones on the side.
Yes, it does hit higher as well. Yeah. And then,
Correct.
that could play out differently because you have less grind time or slide time and everything is a lot quicker.
Yeah, but you have a gap to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you also guys look at the run-ups, like how long they are, or landing? How does it work with that when you do the site inspection?
Yeah, for sure. Because like this would definitely come into play in like the runs in particular, like how people are able to piece runs together. Like how did they get from this obstacle over to that one the way they did? And by walking the field of play and even skating the field of play, like you have a better understanding of maybe how difficult that might be.
Okay, that makes sense. What else, guys? What would be the tips that you would provide for our viewers?
You can approach certain obstacles that are lower, from a certain point, and obviously can probably get a better score if you approached it a different way that made it more difficult. And there's all these little nuances
That's what I was thinking. Like sometimes, approach a trick on the front side or back side from certain side makes it a complete, a different trick, so to say.
Yes. Hmm.
And being able to see it on your own eyes or try it on your own feet makes the big difference in the evaluations, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's also good to do the walkthrough with a skateboard and to roll the course too.
Yeah, because like I can see on this video, to approach a certain obstacle from one side is a
That you,
completely
Matt?
different story than approach it from the other side, right? Not only
Yes.
because of the run up, but it's just the angle or the setup. And a lot of times it's in our minds when we skate.
Yeah, and no two skateboarders will approach the course the same way. And so you really have to kind of digest the possibilities and the many different lines that could actually happen on the course and how that person would get there. And that also comes with skateboarding common sense. You kind of start thinking, well, how would I play? How would I play on this course? And like, what would that look like? And sometimes you get your little safety runs, people who just tie things together, and then, which ends up being on smaller obstacles, which is also typically available in these courses. But I guess as judges, it's like, how gnarly can you get? How many, and what does your line consist of? But
Yeah, I would also suggest that any judge should, if they're able to walk the course daily.
Yeah.
Because it
Refresh.
provides you, it gives you a fresh perspective of the newer tricks that might have happened or newer lines that happened in the last maybe day that you weren't, you weren't maybe ready for the initial walkthrough. And then those can be discussed, like, hey, how so-and-so hit this way was pretty crazy, and it's just really good to have that perspective on a daily kind of reminder.
Yes,
To
especially
calibrate the opinion and the perception of these things, right?
yeah. So especially when it comes to finals, where the biggest tricks are going to be done.
Makes complete sense. So don't do a walkthrough just once. Try to do it more
as often
than
as you
once.
can, as often as you're allowed. Yeah, get on the course. We'll show up early. And nobody will be there. And as our event in Tokyo, obviously, we were just like constantly walking that thing because you're refreshing. Refreshing can never hurt. And yeah, practice happens, and skateboarders only have this certain allotted time for practice for their heat. So chances are pretty high they're going to be tying their runs together and trying hard stuff and getting that stuff down. So that's your first visual of what could potentially happen come contest day. So yeah, it's ever changing.
All right. So advice to all aspiring judges and our viewers today: do the walkthrough, do the skate through if you can, and do it as much as possible. It will help you to calibrate your perception of what's going on and make your scores and point evaluations more accurate.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Let's move to the next topic.